today I'm going to talk to you about zoos. And this is because I come across a lot of people that believe zoos are a cruel place for animals and they serve no purpose in wildlife conservation and are just a commodity for a money-making scheme, which when zoos first began, they were just private collections for rich people and kings across the world. So they were probably a cruel place back then, as animal welfare standards were quite poor. They then opened up to the public, which at that point, again, they were just a money-making scheme. We have made advancements in animal welfare. We've seen the emergence of the RSPCA, which has worked to improve animal welfare across the country, as well as the development of zoological societies, such as the Zoological Society of London. Today, in the UK at least, most likely in the rest of Europe, a zoo can only be open if it has a zoo licence, and one of the requirements of a zoo licence is that all zoos have to work in some way towards conservation purposes. So in the 1980s was the beginning of coordinated breeding programmes, which brought quite a lot of species back from the brink of extinction. So zoos went from being purely recreational to being quite focused on research and conservation efforts. So one of the important things about zoos is they educate people, and they educate people quite a lot on how they can make a difference, such as palm oil is quite a big issue. So zoos do educate people on the issues around palm oil and what you can do at home to make a difference, such as buying products with palm oil that's been certified by the Round Table for Sustainable Palm Oil, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video. There is an organisation called WAZA, which spends $350 million per year on conservation projects, which is the third largest contributor in the world. There are failed projects out there. More projects tend to fail than succeed, but failures doesn't necessarily mean that we should stop. It's just another learning curve. So if we fail with the reintroduction of certain species, then it's because we've not done something right, or it wasn't the right time, or we've not put enough measures in place. We can learn from that. We can learn what went wrong, what went right, what we can do better in the future to improve that. So a very good example of this is the giant panda. So China in particular spends quite a lot of money for the conservation of giant pandas. Now a lot of people believe that the giant panda is a lost cause because it's got such a small ovulation window, and they tend not to be sexually attracted to the giant pandas that we put them with in captivity, so they're just not interested in reproducing in captivity. That's not necessarily the case though in the wild. One of the issues giant pandas face is very fragmented habitats. Bamboo forests across China are being cut down and there's a lot of deforestation going on. So they're struggling to migrate across the forest to find partners and breed with. But one of the things we can do to improve that is by improving bamboo forests in China. But by supporting conservation projects for the giant panda, you not only work to help the giant panda, but other species such as the red panda as well benefit from the conservation efforts. So it's really important that when a conservation project may be focusing on a particular species, it is helping out a plethora of species at the same time. So I'll talk about some of the efforts that Chester Zoo have been doing with orangutans and oil plantations in Borneo. So they are in partnership with an organisation or a group called Hutan, which started in 1998 to protect orangutans in mosaic habitats, where agriculture has become quite a big means of survival and means of income, especially in terms of palm oil production. A lot of people maybe think, well, we just should boycott palm oil altogether, which is great, maybe we could do that. But the issue is, that means, yeah, great, there's no more palm oil plantations, but then they'll start to grow other things to try and make money off it, which then becomes unsustainable as well. So boycotting palm oil on its own is not a viable option. It's about looking for sustainable options. So Chester Zoo and Hunt Hughton are working with the Bornean people to make this sustainable. So they're working in the forest of Kinabatangan in Borneo, which is a biodiversity hotspot home to many species, which most of them are quite vulnerable and are threatened and at risk. So the plan is to secure connectivity within the area, so from habitats to habitats, creating a wildlife corridor. So one group, where is it? Sorry. So last year, over 30,000 seedlings from 29 different species of plants were donated by the Genting palm oil plantation in order to create this wildlife corridor. By doing this, we allow safe passage for wildlife to go from one area to another. It allows them to travel through these fragmented habitats that are broken up by agricultural areas. So that's really important, and it is really important that we do support sustainable palm oil, because, like I say, other resources that they'll resort to will become unsustainable themselves and have just as devastating effects. So it's important that we work with the people. This is their means of income. You only have to look around in the UK. We have the same issues here. We've got agriculture going on everywhere that has broken up forests, it's broken up habitats. And we have a lot of fragmented and island habitats in the UK, and that's down to agriculture again. So it's about working with people to build up the sustainability of what they are growing. So another one of my favourite places to visit is Yorkshire Wildlife Park. So they've worked on a couple of local projects. So they've worked with, the Hedgehog Hospital in Hull. They released 23 hedgehogs in their woodland areas in Yorkshire Wildlife Park. They then also set up camera traps, so definitely check the links that I've already posted from Yorkshire Wildlife Park. They've got a video from the camera traps that they set up of the different animals that they saw. So they caught badgers, fox cubs and deer. So definitely give that a watch if you have a chance. It's really cute if you like badgers. They also set up bug hotels and plant wildflowers. Chester Zoo also have bug hotels as well around the zoo. And this is all again to help local species in the area, local insects within the area and pollinators. As we know, pollinators are in decline and we need to help save them. So Yorkshire Wildlife Park are working with them. So one of the other species that Yorkshire Wildlife Park are working with is the Amur leopard, which is a critically endangered species from Russia. There were 30 left in the wild, but in 2018 this number had breached 100, which is really good. So the introduction program of Amur leopards is approved by the IUCN, and all zoos that have Amur leopards are working towards a reintroduction of them back into the wild. Since conditions have recently stabilised in the place called Lazovsky Nature Reserve in Russia, it's now safe to start considering the reintroduction of Amur leopards. Thanks to the conservation efforts of Russia and China, there has also been an increase in sika deer, which is one of the Amur leopard's main prey items. So because of that, they're confident that the reintroduction programme of Amur leopards could be quite successful. They've now got an ideal habitat with an available food source that's doing well. Yorkshire Wildlife Park have recently had 2 Amur leopard cubs, which they have sent one to a zoo in America, and I can't remember where the other one has gone, but they are then to work on further breeding programs and reintroduction programs as well to help with the reintroduction of Amur leopards into the wild. So definitely support zoos. They fund so much research, they fund reintroduction projects. They're so important for the biodiversity that we have left. Another project that has happened here in the UK is the beavers in Scotland were reintroduced. A protected area was set for them. and they've been quite successful so far. So give them a check out as well. This is just one of the other projects that zoos do fund as well. So definitely support your zoos. They're really important. Don't believe the stigma that is against them, because a lot of it's false, and a lot of it's quite old issues that no longer exist. Thanks for watching, and bye.